Hello everybody and welcome. This is going to be my video on the Skyrim mods that I have installed. And hopefully this will do its deed in explaining exactly what mods I, Totally Insane Gamer, use while playing Skyrim. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started here. First thing I'm going to show you here is going to be your best friend in the world, Nexus Mod Manager. Okay, this is basically where you can download most of your mods, and you're going to do that from Skyrim Nexus on the internet. Okay, you're going to go to Skyrim Nexus, and you can basically use this for most all your mods. Now, there are some mods where you're going to want to use Steam for. No big deal. You can combine them. Just make sure that you go into your Skyrim launcher and let the Skyrim launcher load, update any of those mods that you're subscribed to on Steam. Now the thing about the Nexus here is that you have to manage your add-ons and keep them up to date yourself, but it is well worth it. Now the first mod we're going to go into here is the Texture Pack Combiner. Okay, I have a ton of graphical mods. Okay, a lot of very good immersive mods that increase the graphics of Skyrim to a great degree. Okay, my computer specs are decent and they get the job done. I have an i7 2600K 3.4. I also have 16 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, and I also use an Nvidia GTX 680 2 gigabyte card. So my system, those are my system specs. That's what you can kind of expect to know on par what I'm going to be using, versus what you can handle using. Now there's no shame in trying something and failing. So don't feel bad about that if you end up not being able to run everything. But this video is purely to show you guys what I use for Skyrim. So back to it, Texture Pack Combiner here. If you go down, it's basically going to walk you through the process here. And guys, please, let me go ahead and say this at the beginning. If you're on Skyrim Nexus and you're going to use the mod, make sure and endorse. Okay? These mod owners and creators go to a lot of trouble to create these mods, and then they share them with the world for free. Okay? So the least you can do is to endorse their work. And as you can see, this one's got a lot of endorsements, a lot of downloads. It's a great mod. Basically what you're looking at is, we're just going to scroll down to the meat of it here. You'll just read through this. You're going to read through all the descriptions, at your own leisure. I'm going to trust you guys to read the instructions. Most of the mod makers are very good about including instructions. Okay, now here's where you're going to get to the important part. The only required mods are Skyrim HD 2K textures, okay, Serious HD retexture. Okay, now even this third one here, alright, Skyrim Realistic Overhaul, is not truly a required mod. In fact, unless you have a friend that has this mod, you cannot actually acquire it for use of this combiner. So basically, unfortunately, the mod creator for this was banned from the Nexus. His mods were removed. And again, unless you have someone that actually has access to the Skyrim Realistic Overhaul, you're not going to be able to access that, but it can be easily used with this Texture Pack Combiner, so if you can get your hands on it, go for it. Now this is where things deviate a little bit. Okay, obviously I've got Skyrim HD 2K textures, I've got Serious HD retexture. Okay, I do not have Skyrim Realistic Overhaul, and it works just fine for me. Now on the optional mods, okay, you're going to want to look at all these mods. There's 40 or so optional mods here. Okay, all listed. Now if you scroll down even further, it's going to give you some information about each of the mods. And I installed all but I think 2 of these mods, one of which I know I did not install TreesHD Skyrim Variation. Mainly because it says right out loud, okay, Ultra is extremely VRAM heavy. Okay, now I have a great computer, but when a single mod warns you against something like that. It's basically just shouting at you, if you're using a lot of mods, don't use me. Okay, that's basically the warning that you're looking at there. Okay, so keep that in mind and install each of these mods at your own risk. The other one I didn't install, I did not use Project Parallax. Okay, I have E and B, and I'll go into that in a moment. So I did not use the Project Parallax. Okay, so that is the texture pack combiner. Again, in order to find that, just go to Skyrim Nexus. Okay, it's skyrim.nexusmods.com. Okay, that's where you're going to want to go. You're going to have to create yourself an account because they're not going to let you download files without having an account. And that's because they have non-adult and adult mods, stuff like that. So they have to be able to differentiate between the two. None of my mods are adult mods. I stream. I am a public streamer. I'm not going to do that and publicize stuff. So don't have to worry about any of that on my end. But that is completely up to you. They've got a lot to offer on the Skyrim Nexus. There's tons and tons of mods to shop about and get, so feel free to do so. So on to the next graphical changing mod. That's really rather important. It really fixes a lot, like the shadows, the way the lighting and everything looks, and then there's different users that modify it. I just use the basic ENB, okay, which I don't know what ENB stands for. I know a lot of people use it. I know a lot of people love it, myself included. Basically what he's done is he's created a way to streamline and inject a different kind of look into the game that kind of makes it real clean and pretty. So it's called ENB. You have to actually install it. It's a separate download all to itself. It's got its own website. Okay, you're looking at www.enbdev.com. Okay, you go there, you can look, and you're welcome to donate to the creator of this mod. He did a great job. And there's a lot of presets that you can look at. A lot of people have made different presets for ENB. Okay, so you can find one that suits your needs, or you can use the default, which is, like I say, what I do. And that works just fine. Now in the future I may look at some different presets and try them out, but as of now I'm fine with just the default. So that's ENB. That's another mod that I use. Now what you have to do is, it's actually a file that you have to download and then follow the instructions, and then I use the injector to inject it into my game, which basically I just have to run the ENB injector, and then once I launch my game it'll inject itself in. So that works just fine. Now another important file that's separate from mods that you're going to need is actually the Skyrim script extender, which is made on silverlock.org. Okay, it's a very simple website here, but it's a file that you're going to want to download. Reason being is because a lot of the mods that you're going to want to be using use this. Okay, they use SKE. Alright, so you're going to want to download that. You're going to want to follow the instructions. There's a file in your download that's going to give you instructions as well. And again, this is a great thing that somebody put together and has offered out there for free. Okay, so be appreciative if you can, and feel free to use that. Okay, that's what I use. And I use that in place of the normal Skyrim launcher. Now, back to my other mods. And this is going to take a minute. I know this video might be a little long, but for those of you that are wanting to know, this is where you're going to get this information, so I don't have to repeat myself over and over again while I'm live streaming. A quality world map. Okay, it's basically a world map that's going to give you roads and such on the map. It's very handy. Very good way to make your map more immersive. Who's going to draw a map and not have the roads? I mean, really, come on. So that's a good one to have. Another one here is all-in-one faces. Okay, and whenever you're installing these, make sure you're always reading the descriptions. Now, as you can see, not all the pictures loaded into the file from the Nexus, and that's okay. But this basically just makes things a little cleaner. It's not really one of the packs that's going to greatly overhaul how your characters look. Okay, this is purely a pack to make things just look a little cleaner. Now the next one I have is alternate start. Okay, now I used this for my orc play on Twitch, and instead of starting the normal start for Skyrim, and I'm going to try to keep this update spoiler free for those who have not played the game, Basically, you can come in, and if you want to, instead of doing the default start, you can pick an alternate life and start there. Now keep in mind, it may put you in a very difficult spot. The first time I started up the alternate life, I got owned by a couple of witches right off the bat and had to do it again. It's just one of those risks you take because you're starting in an area that's not made for the low levels like where you would default at. But it also just makes it more challenging. I was playing it on Master, so of course I got owned. So if you're doing that and you find yourself in a really difficult place, you can always drop the difficulty to Novice or another difficulty lower down to get through the hard points until you catch up. It took me almost 11 levels, okay, of gameplay before I've actually caught up to the main story. So just know that when you start up another life, you're not going to be jumping right into the main story like you do otherwise. But it just gives you some other options to do to build into the game, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing through the alternate life that my orc lived. So that was a good mod. Okay, I also use Apache hair. Okay, it's a very popular mod, Apache Sky Hair. It just adds 65 new hairstyles for females, 41 for males, and 5 for female Khajiit, 2 hairs for male Khajiit. Okay, a lot of different hairs, and they look really good. Okay, so I play males usually, but the females look great with it as well. All right, and it's a great mod. I suggest it for everyone, just to add a little bit more options for your character customization. Now this one here was actually wigs, which allows you to create wigs that you can equip to make the hair show from underneath the helmets, which I also like. The other thing I have installed, which my character that I'm playing right now is not much of a mage, but the Apocalypse spell package. Okay, it adds about 180 spells. Now everything I've read says that these spells are very balanced. Some of them are just spells that were left out from Oblivion, and other such things. I've played the game a little bit. I haven't found any spells that seem really overpowered or, unbalanced. So this is the spell package that I chose on because, to be fair, Skyrim Vanilla does not have very many spells. Okay, it really didn't. So just being able to add some more spells, some more variety, but keeping things balanced still is definitely a plus. Alright, the next thing I've got is Bandolier. Fantastic mod. Now obviously it doesn't have a description that popped up over here. Basically what it's going to do is, as long as you have Dawn Guard, okay, and I have Dawn Guard and Hearthfire, so keep those in mind while you're going through these with me, because I installed my mods with those DLCs in mind. But Bandoliers allows you to craft bags and pouches that you can equip in the extra slots added with Dawn Guard. Another one that I've used in the past but I'm not using right now is Better Females by Bella. It just kind of makes their faces pretty and shiny. Something to look at. I'm not using it because I'm honestly not using female characters, so I don't normally play female characters, so I went ahead and disabled that just because, but it is a great mod. Since it's on my list, I'll give it its due. Better quest objectives. It's just going to take the default quest objective and just add a little bit of text to it. So instead of saying you need to go get this item, okay, it's going to say you need to go get this item and you need to do it here. It's going to actually go ahead and expand that quest out. For example, talk to that guy, to head to this town at the eastern base of this mountain and talk to that guy. It's just going to add a more in-depth, detailed quest objective, okay, text. So for immersion sakes and such, and we'll get to some immersion mods later on, I find it very, very handy. Birds and flocks, basically is just going to add just that, birds and flocks, into the game. Okay. And obviously you have to download the Hearthfire edition. So I don't know why the screen is saying I didn't, but I did, so whatever. It's fine. Now, so that's good. Breeze Home Alchemy Lab fix for Dawn Guard. Basically with Dawn Guard, you could try to buy the Alchemy Lab in Breeze Home and it wouldn't work. So this fixes that. That's just a fix. Cloaks of Skyrim. Very, very immersive. Basically, instead of all the NPCs walking around wearing short sleeves, you're going to have them walking around, and if it's cold, they're going to put cloaks on. Now that's not necessarily true. You have to have other mods to make them actually default to do that, but it just adds the ability to craft them, to wear them, for NPCs to wear them, and you can modify that to have it to where they do wear them or not. Next mod is convenient horses. Basically what that does is gives you a lot. It gives you the ability for your followers to ride horses for one. It gives you the ability to add a customization to your horses to make them look cooler. Just basically some horse armors. Doesn't really do anything to aid the horse. It just makes them look cool. And it gives you the ability for a horn call, or a horn that you can call your horse with. It's a great mod. Definitely works. So, definitely works. They've also got this other one advertised, but I don't have that. Okay, cooking expanded for Hearthfire. Just added some new recipes. Same with cooking expanded here. Same deal. Just added some different recipes. Crimson Tide is the blood texture mod that I use. Another graphical enhancement mod. Deadly Spell Impacts, same way. I use this as a graphical enhancement for the spell impacts. Footprints, another graphical enhancement and immersion mod. It basically just adds to where you can make footprints in the snow and such. It's a simple yet effective way to make it a little more immersive in the game. Now here's one of the big ones. Frostfall. Okay. Frostfall is a humongous mod that you really need to go to and read a lot on. It's an immersion realism mod that basically makes it to where you have to take into account the weather of Skyrim. That's all I'm really going to say. I want you guys to go and read everything and get the details before you really decide on that one. But it does add a lot of really cool stuff. The ability to camp, the ability to have a backpack, stuff like that. It's very, very good. Get Snowy just basically allows you to do just that. Get snowy. It adds a snowy visual effect to the player and NPCs when snow is falling. Okay, it affects all live and deceased NPCs and wildlife within a set radius. Okay. Handyman is a fun little mod that just kind of an immersion mod. Who's ever played Skyrim and you run around and you see a broom or a blacksmith hammer or a scalpel or even a spoon? And it's kind of like, why can't I pick this up and actually make use of it? So it just allows you to pick those items up and actually use them as improvised weapons. So it's a very interesting mod, and they're adding more. Not everything is in, but there's a lot of just simple things. Imagine picking up a broom and batting somebody over the head with it, or a shovel, or etc. Just a nice little immersion mod. So another one, HD texture DLC fix. Okay, just fixes some of the loose files. Immersive armors is the armor mod that I use. Makes the armors just look a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, a little more immersive. Okay. Immersive weapons is the counterpart to immersive armors for the weapons, as in a lot of different weapons that don't seem out of place in Skyrim. Okay. None of them have been overpowered that I've seen. They're just a lot of cool little weapons that look awesome. So keep that in mind as well. Immersive HUD. This is another immersion mod. Basically, makes it to where everything can hide while you're running around. Your compass, your health, stamina, magicka, your crosshair even. Everything will hide itself automatically until it's time to be needed. And for me, I have the compass off, and when I need the compass, I hit the key to look at the compass, and then I put the compass away. Instead of being like, if you were in real life, can you imagine having a compass out all the time? You'd always have to be carrying it in your hand constantly, and constantly like hold it up in front of your face in order to see it like that. Not very immersive. So the immersive HUD just allows you to basically make everything better. Improved container names. This one's you do what you want, but I did it so that I can see what's in the containers before I open them, whether it be produce, because most of the time you can ignore produce, be honest, You can also look for reagents, salted meat, salted fish, or mead. Okay, so you can do that. It's pretty handy. No spinning death animation. Okay, is another one. Now I think I'm going to go back for a second. Improved container names. I think I had to get that one from Steam. So keep that in mind. That's one of the mods I'm pretty sure I had to grab from Steam, not the Nexus mod manager. So no spinning death animation is basically just that. Instead of becoming a featherweight ragdoll when you die, you're more weighted and you're going to die more realistically. Just a little bit, nothing major, just a little bit of an immersion mod, okay? Pets of Skyrim. Alright. This is a great mod. It adds in some extra little dogs around. It adds in some cats and such around. It's just really, really cool. So take a look at that and decide if you want that. Player head tracking. Honestly, I haven't seen this mod as too useful yet. I mean, the head tracks a little bit, but it's not perfect. But, you know, it's just one of those things. It's not going to hurt to have, and it can add a little bit to the immersion of the game. Sorry, blanked out for a second. Okay, now we're looking at the next one. Is going to be populated cities. You ever walked around in Whiterun or one of the other cities and been like, there's like 10 NPCs here? Well, now you don't have to. Now you can have populated cities where it's going to spawn in 10 or more NPCs, and they'll just walk the cities, populate the cities, okay? And it's quite nice. It really is. I mean, they're only, you know, they're commoners, noble people. They don't really have unique names, so that allows you to still differentiate from anyone who might offer you a quest versus just a random person. But it's a very nice mod to have. Now keep in mind that when you go into a city, a bunch of things are going to spawn, and that does have a likelihood to crash your game. I've even had it crash my game once. But when I reloaded in, those mobs had already spawned, and it didn't crash it again. So sometimes you've got to take the good with the bad. Sometimes your game's going to crash, and you just got to move on with it. Now there are fixes that I'll constantly be looking for to make it better. But at the meantime, I think I played about 11.5 hours last night, and my game crashed 3, maybe 4 times. And it's just a matter of just letting it crash. I actually will go into a mod later that I end up installing because it was causing a lot of the issue. But populated cities, I think, only crashed my game once. So not a big deal. Alright, the next one. Now this is, you know, a completely up to you mod. He's hopefully going to make it better. But for now, it's just a simple little mod where you can start your guy nice and scrawny, and as you train up your weapons or anything else that would require strength, and then you go to sleep, you can basically gradually gain muscle. So you can start off as scrawny as you want or at the middle of the road, and by the end of your playthrough, you might have the biggest muscles possible. Okay? It's pretty cool. Alright. Now, this mod doesn't allow it to go in the reverse. But all you have to do is, you know, if you don't want to gain the muscle anymore, you know, disable it or stop sleeping. I mean, basically you only gain the muscle when you're sleeping. I mean, really, if you're training in the physical attributes, then who doesn't want to get your muscles bigger? I mean, come on. So anyways, that's a fun one, and just kind of an optional, but it was fun. Here's one that I've done in the past. Now, this was a lot of fun. I'm not doing it now because it's a complete game overhaul. And it makes it freaking ridiculous. The game is near impossible. But it's very, very challenging, very fun, as long as you don't mind raging every once in a while for dying repeatedly. So that's one that I'm not doing. But that's Requiem, the old school role-playing overhaul. Okay. Skybirds, another one to add just even more birds. Okay, you're going to see the little birds around Skyrim if you get this mod. It's pretty nice. Okay, it really is. Just adds some more bird chirping and stuff like that as you're running around. It just makes, you know, what's one of the dreadful sights in the world today? If you go into an area and it's a bad place to be, what don't you hear? Don't hear birds. And without some of these mods, it's like you're running through Skyrim and you never hear any birds. like there must be some disease that's going to kill everything because there's no birds. So now we have birds. Another one I've got, Skyrim Bigger Trees. Okay. Now this one basically takes some of the trees and makes them humongous. Kind of like an ancient tree would be. It's going to be big. Trees grow and grow and grow and get humongous. Not all the trees are big. You know, it's varied still, which makes it nice. But, you know, all it does, you can install it. If you don't like it, just uninstall it. Okay? I do use that. Now this is the texture pack combiner. Like, again, basically, once you've combined all these textures, you're going to load it in as a single mod. So it takes away having to load in every single one of those. Quite a nice deal. Okay. Sky Test, okay, basically adds in realistic animals and predators, kind of adds in a food chain. It's interesting. It is quite interesting. Just it makes, instead of coming across a couple of wolves, you're going to come across a pack wolf or a cowardly wolf or cowardly bear. You know, different kinds of bears. And if you attack a pack wolf, let me just tell you, they're going to call their pack, and their pack's going to be coming out of the woodwork after you. And I have died from a wolf pack, and I was on horseback, and they were jumping up at me, attacking me, and it was bad. Anyways, but it's a lot of fun. Okay. Sky UI. Now this is a big one. This is the UI overhaul, which tons of people use. It's a great overhaul. It changes the menu system. For being on computers, if you're using mouse and keyboard especially, I personally use a controller with my PC for Skyrim. I prefer that for RPGs, but if you're using a mouse and keyboard, I definitely suggest you get this Sky UI because it's going to make your life about 1,000 times easier as far as using the UI. So that's definitely one to look at. Now, Static Mesh Improvement Mod improves a lot of the meshes in the game. It actually can be a part of the texture pack combiner. However, the version of it at this time, right now, was not compatible with it, so I installed it separately. The Dance of Death. Now this one's cool. It basically allows you to customize how often the kill cam is going to happen. Okay, and as well as let's see, it's going to increase your kill move chance, decapitation chance. You can force the perspectives. You can set restrictions, immunities, and whether or not it only works on the last enemies. Okay. Now, there's things that unlock new kill moves and such. All right, and things like that. As you perk up, you can get access to more kill moves and decapitations and such given to you by this mod. It's really neat, really useful to have. The Ultimate Follower Overhaul. A lot of people use this. Personally, I use it for just the commands that I can use on my followers, allowing me to customize what armors they're wearing. So if I want to put a housecarl in my house, and being an orc, I don't really care for them, so I really want to wear armor in my house and a weapon. Heck no. I'm going to take that away, give them some prisoner's garb or something, some rags to wear around my house. And that's the way it's going to go. Now, I'm not going to utilize this, but you can. You can have up to 15 followers with this mod. Okay, it's going to allow you to have up to 15 followers. But go and read into it. It does a lot. It allows you to do a lot. Now, you also have the Dawn Guard and the Hearthfire add-ons that you have to use for that. So keep that in mind as well. Next one, unique region names. Basically, instead of exiting a cave and it's saying you're exiting to Skyrim, it's going to say you're exiting to Whiterun Hold, or you're exiting to Falkreath, or it's not going to say exiting to Skyrim all the time. It's going to tell you what hold you're in. Now, we've seen some inconsistencies, like we were in Riverwood and it was saying I was going to exit into Falkreath. Who knew that Riverwood was part of Falkreath? As far as I know, it's not. So there are a couple of border mishaps where it's not perfect, but it's still better than seeing Skyrim constantly. Okay. Alright, I've got the unofficial Dawnguard patch, the unofficial Hearthfire patch, the unofficial Skyrim patch. Okay. Now here's a mod that I used and don't use any longer. War Zones. It was very, very cool. A very cool mod. Okay, it basically creates war zones throughout Skyrim where it will spawn NPCs, creatures, whatever you want to set it to spawn, and they'll basically engage in battle in these random places around Skyrim. It's a fantastic mod. Problem being was when I was running across a couple of the battles, even on their low setting for the spawn rates, the battles were too big and they crashed my computer. And I had Battlefield crash my computer about 3 times, 4 times maybe, and that was enough. I went ahead and disabled this mod. But again, go and try it out. You know, you never know, your system may be able to handle it better than mine. Endorse it. It's a great mod. They did a really good job with it. Just not using it currently. I may go ahead and try to use it again in the future, but for now I'm not. We're getting towards the end. I know this is being a long video, but for those that want to know my mods, here we go. Next one is wet and cold. Now this one works well with frost fall and all. It's basically if you get into the water, get out, you're going to be dripping water. If you're standing in a cold area, your breath is going to show. Now that right there, the breath showing, is a huge deal for immersion. I mean, who's going to be running around in a blizzard and your breath not showing or whatever? Just being able to talk to an NPC and seeing their breath as they talk, it adds an amazing feeling. Okay. So that's a good one. Winter is coming cloaks. This makes it where you can have like bear pelt cloaks and wolf pelt cloaks, and aside from the regular Cloaks of Skyrim mod that I've got, it adds more to that. And then there's different patches to look for. Make sure you're looking at the files and seeing what the patches they have are. Alright, now here's the Xenius armor compilation. Okay, I do have this. This adds in additional armors just to make things look better. I like them. So, anyways, that's what I use. It's XAC. And then I also use the XCE, which is the Xenius character enhancement, which again just changes a bit of the character mesh, makes them look a little bit better. And that's what I use for that. So guys, this has been the video to show you guys what I use. And then you'll notice that up in this Nexus Manager, I usually always open this up after I've opened up my injector down here. Okay, the monitoring E&B series, you have to have that up. You can minimize it to your tray, whatever. And then I'll open up my manager and I'll launch SKSE from here. Okay, so you always can check your load order as well. A couple others that I've downloaded actually from Steam were Complete Skyforge and the Skyforge Map Marker. Now with Frostfall I can't fast travel around, but it's nice to have that map marker and the Complete Skyforge. If the dude's the best blacksmith in Skyrim, why does he only have a forge and a grindstone? I mean, seriously. So download Complete Skyforge, and it's going to give Yorland really a smelter, a tanning rack, a workbench, all the necessaries for a blacksmith to really have, so that Yorland can really be the best blacksmith in Skyrim, and gives you another handy place to go and craft. So take a look at that. That's on Steam. So guys, again, those are my mods. Those are what I use. Use them at your own risk. Read the descriptions, the instructions, all for yourself. I'm not going to be responsible if things don't work on your system the way they work on mine. But I wanted to share with you guys the mods that I use. I hope that this has been a helpful video. I know it's a little on the long side, but like I say, I use a lot of mods. So guys, join me next time on my Twitch TV channel at www.twitch.tv/totallyinsanegamer. And follow me there and keep an eye for when I'm live streaming. Also follow me on this YouTube channel. And keep an eye out for any new videos, highlights from my Twitch stream, and also any Let's Plays that I'll be doing once. I'm going to be rebooting my Skyrim Let's Play once Dragonborn comes out, so I'm greatly looking forward to that, and keep an eye out for it. So we will talk to you all later. Thank you for watching. Hopefully it was helpful. Take care.